Welcome to the Legacy Through Land podcast, where we're dedicated to empowering you on your journey to land ownership and management. I'm Tyler Markham, your host, and each week we'll dive deep into the world of land investing, management strategies, and the transformative experiences tied to owning your very own piece of dream dirt. With our expert guests, inspiring stories, and actionable advice, we're committed to helping you become a better land manager, hone your investing skills, and start building your family's legacy through land. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. We hope you'll enjoy.
All right, jumping right in. You guys know that when we get the podcast started, I always give you a little bit of an update from my world as a full-time land investor. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm about to leave as soon as we get this podcast wrapped up. I'm going to leave to go to Illinois. And I promise I've got some stuff cooking that I'm willing to talk about with Illinois. There is some curveballs for sure. And I'll be honest, it's stuff that's kind of deflating and embarrassing and belief building and humbling and thankful to God type stuff all at once. So we're going to unpack it. It's just, I've just been super busy and haven't taken the time to sit down to really build the storyboard for what I want to talk through with you guys. But that podcast is coming up. It's coming up next week. So honestly, what's going on with me right now is food plots galore. We are in the thick of putting in food plots, and I don't have a full-time helper right now. I'm looking to hire a full-time helper. So if you're listening, I'm looking to hire. I advertise on my personal Facebook as a part-time hire, but really I need a full-time hire. And the right person needs to live close enough to me because you're going to have to get equipment and the stuff that is close enough to me here in the Lancaster, Canal, Winchester, Ohio area, Fairfield County. That would be ideal if you're close enough and you're wild enough to want to talk. I'm looking for a full-time helper, but food plots galore. That's what's going on for the next, every day for the next couple of weeks. I've got spraying and mowing and planting and drilling and fertilizing and just all of these food plots galore type things on all of our project farms. My family farm in Jackson, some of my permission farms here in the areas close to me. So it's just full chaos. Headed to Illinois next to do some plots out there. And that's that. But this week, I cannot wait for you guys to get to meet my guests. So, all right. Thank you for coming back to whatever episode this is. You know I don't count them. But what I do count, and I appreciate you guys messaging and calling and connecting with me, is I really do count it a blessing that so many people listen to this podcast and it's fulfilling to them and it's belief building or whatever it is. So thank you. Helps give me the courage to continue to do it. Changing scenery here. I've got some tile work going on in my house and they are kind of loud and I don't want to stop them because we have wanted this backsplash to get done for a while. So I'm out here on my porch and we're just going to have a little afternoon session with one of, honestly, my favorite people. So I might say that a lot, but if you'd put a gun to my head and say, who's one of the most high character people that's been intentional in your life with you that I could go and get some help from, Jason Watkins comes to mind. Jason is, honestly, when I knew nobody in Columbus, I had connected with him professionally at first, and then we very quickly connected personally and spiritually. And he's a dude that just means so much to me. I've gotten to watch him recently go out on his own and become a house flipper like I used to be. I've gotten to watch him transition from, he used to manage house flips for another big investor. He then worked at a title company, and now he has burned the bridges, gone out on his own, and I've been watching him build his business. So it's just really been great to see. But he's got an Airbnb that when I think of legacy through land and just the stories that come to mind, his journey through buying this Airbnb back from family. It's kind of a crazy story, and I'm going to let you guys listen to it in a second. But his story of buying this thing back, bringing it back into the family, rehabbing it, and now enjoying this thing himself as an Airbnb and just a place to create true legacy for his family and community and just a place of peace and restoration. That's what it is. So we're going to get to unpack his journey. There's a lot of takeaways here. Again, I'm going to remind you, you're not allowed to become best friends with him because it will cut into my time with being best friends with him, but I will let you connect with Mr. Jason Watkins, and we're going to jump right in. Let's go. Hey, this is one of my favorite people in the world, everybody. He doesn't know that. I'm just now first telling him while we're on here together, so this will come as much of a shock to him as it does me, but I want to jump right into the story of Mr. Jason Watkins, and I will say, having already introed Jason and what I've talked about, Uh, I hope we get as wild on the fun stories and the fun times we've had together because Jason is one of my favorite like mentors, buddies, spiritual accountability partners. And it's odd to be able to say that because I actually got kicked out of his Bible study. So it's a fun little thing to intro in there. But there are stories in the Bible about people that screwed up and then they got better. And so I somehow screwed up, just didn't even know it. But anyways, dude, let's party. Thank you for being on here.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for inviting me. It's kind of humbling to get invited to things like this.
Well, I actually have a few listeners that like text me every week. And by the way, if you're one of those, it means a lot to me because it means that people that I don't normally interact with day to day, watch and listen to podcasts. So obviously the point of it is to raise awareness and just create this community around this thing that I call dirt. And for a guy like Jason, he's even more well-rounded in the real estate space than I am. So I'm excited to be able to let the listeners and viewers hear your backstory that kind of lands you to where you're at today. I know enough about it to be able to answer and ask some questions, but I'm excited to be able to peel the layers back. So I appreciate you being willing to do this. The thing that I want to make sure the guests know is, if we don't have some fun stories in this podcast, I'm not going to run it. Like if we don't get into the fun stuff, it's not going to go out. And I know we will get into the fun stuff. So
we like to talk about.
Yeah. If I ever need the last thing, and then we're going to talk about Mr. Jason. If I ever need like encouragement or like, do you ever heard those have these reels or these memes come out where it's like, you can be both happy and sad in the same moment. And then they usually say some kind of a tongue-in-cheek statement that elicits those feelings of both excited and sad at the same time. Jason has the best one for me so far in my life because he said, if there was ever a redneck Olympics, he would vote for me, like for the top. And so I'm both honored by that and also concerned because I'm like, I thought I got better. I thought I was a little less redneck when I moved to Columbus, but apparently I'm like the most redneck. So I'm honored that I'm his top pick. Usually I'm everybody's top pick if catastrophic events happen in their life that involve redneckery. So yeah, he did say that if there was an Olympics that I should at least compete and he would bet on me.
First phone call every time. In fact, I just told my wife when I called you last week or whatever, and I said, hey, I called Tyler today. I was like, specifically for nothing. I called him because I didn't need anything. And God put your name on my brain. And I was like, hey, people probably always call you when they need things. Like they're always calling me when they need things or want me to buy a house. So I was like, let's give you a call when I don't need something.
Yeah, there's a great mentor of mine that always said that, you can't ask for withdrawals from people until you've made deposits first. So I understand your brownie bank is now in a net gain here.
That's all it was. Need that log splitter here in the fall.
Every time there's a storm, I'm like, well,
how many trees are down?
Yeah, what tree fell at Jason's Airbnb that I will probably go and clean up. So, hey man, let's party. Tell the people out there listening and wanting to actually jump into who in the heck is Jason Watkins. Who are you? How'd you get to where you're at? What's your story?
Yeah, quickest description of Jason Watkins.
Elevator pitch, shot out of a cannon.
I'm saved by Christ, father of 4, who's blessed to be doing real estate and have the freedom right now to do it. But it is one of those, real estate is simple, but it's hard. It's hard, when you run it by yourself. And so I started out with kids real early. I got 4 kids, 20 down to 8. And so started off early, was a welder for 12 years, got tired of the layoffs in that industry, worked in the diesel industry for, 4 or 5 years where we rebuilt fuel pumps, turbos, injectors for farm equipment, built tractor pull, stuff there. And then ultimately finished my degree in drafting and design and then got into sewing manufacturer, to use my degree. And so, for about 6 years, I ran a sewing plant where I had to design all sorts of random things. I just had to come up with solutions, right? Like people had a problem and need something made. A lot of it were trampoline parks. Ultimately, God moved a lot of things around to where I basically joined an investor here in Columbus, and he was growing, needed someone to manage fix and flips for him. And I was already doing project management. I'm kind of a DIY guy because I'm a normal, can't afford to pay for things, so got to figure it out yourself or break it worse than call someone. But so when I joined with him, it was like, hey, I know how to break things and like how to meet people. And I know how to like not get like overwhelmed by problems. And so joined him, and with him, I managed like about 150 flips here in Columbus over 2 years. And God is a huge part of my life. Like I said, he saved me, but he also move the pieces around. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can get into as if the conversation goes, but got in a real dark period of my time right after I took a job, a title company that was all real estate and focused, investor focused, sought after me and made it really hard for me to say no to take a job. I didn't want to leave this real estate group because I found like my purpose. I'm like, man, this is it. Like God pushed me into this for a reason. And then I'm like, man, why do I feel like I have to leave now? Like, I feel like you pushed me here, but now why do I feel like I'm supposed to take this step away from this team? And then ultimately my life kind of went in a really dark time with my two oldest daughters, kind of had, just like a lot of people, you battle as your kids get older and there's a period there, but, had a time where it was just focused on my daughters and my daughters' safeties and like them. And so didn't focus on real estate. But in that time, I was working remotely now I was in a sales position for a title company where God was prepping me, just teaching me, where I was going around finding real estate investors and asking them, hey, what do you do? Who are you? What systems do you use? What's your team look like? What's your closure rate? And then being the sales guy and, getting their business. When the deals went wrong, I was also the one who got the phone call that said, hey, here's a giant problem. And so for 2 years, I also got to deal with that, but I also got to be available for my daughters when they needed me. And then all that to say, I'm a very loyal guy. I don't move jobs, like I stick around even longer than I probably should. And then got to the point where the day after I got my daughters safe, and it was like everything we've been praying for 2 years. The next day, I lost my job unexpectedly, lost a sales job, just totally unexpectedly, and that's one of those system shocks. But, having a spouse like I do with my wife, sorry.
Yeah, dude. Get there.
Yeah.
You guys thought I was going to be the first one.
Jeez. Don't mean to get there. It's just the power of like the people, right? And having some faith. And then to see that, God, you just cleared the fear, like all these things that I have to fight. I've never bet on myself because I had kids so early. So here we are now. So now we've been flipping houses for ourselves for about a year now, a little over a year. We've got 3 going on currently. We did 1 flip about 6 months ago. Our first, we took 1 on, did a flip by ourselves, and then we took 3 on. And then we got another one we're closing on in about a month. So that's kind of where we're at. We own a couple rentals and an Airbnb too, which is definitely by far.
We're going to get there.
I know. That's my favorite property, piece of land that it will take life-changing money to sell that one.
I already tried, folks. I already tried to make him a great offer. He wouldn't sell it. So.
Yeah.
Dude. All right. Let's, this is so fun. Let's unpack. Amen.
Yeah. There you go. That's just a quick shot and you can go from there.
No, dude. I love it. Amen. I appreciate you being willing to be vulnerable. I appreciate you being willing to just share all these things, because the thing that I've had the pleasure of knowing about Jason, that you listeners are going to get to be able to hear and feel the heartbeat of who he is, and kind of the ripple effect that I know he's leaving on this earth, is that he is one of my favorite people from a connection building standpoint. And I'm positive that title company that he last worked for hired him. And I'm making this up so Jason can confirm or deny, but they saw the relationship building skills that he had, and they saw the ability he had to connect with people. And they said, let's harness this. And that they were very smart for doing so. And they created an opportunity for him to go and grow business. Well, how do you think I found Jason? Was he was interested in me. And here's the coolest part, because I'm in sales. I love me some sales. And I can usually sniff a car salesman out in a mall from about 400 yards away, right? I can smell one. And Jason, he walked in, he walked in, slit my throat, and I never even felt it. I never felt it for a second. He was actually interested in me and in my business, and where we met, how we met was through the season of me being what did he say before? House flipper, doing a lot of transactional volume. We had just expanded to Columbus. I had hired an employee in Columbus that Jason actually knew, by the way. I got connected to Jason through that employee in a roundabout way. And Jason was finding out who we were early. He was finding out how he could be intentional with me. He was finding out what my business structure looked like, all those things that he was talking about. It's so wild to hear him say all this because that was his job, but he was really, really good at that not ever being his job. It was really good at being an intentional people. And when I moved to Columbus, I literally knew no one. I literally picked, where we live on a map. We wanted to be close enough. We wanted to be close to where we felt there was the most opportunity. By the way, if you've ever listened to my first podcast, any of the listeners, I moved up here, Jason, you can laugh, to chase multifamily. I was definitely not going to do land. We were only going to do multifamily after quitting house flips, and that lasted like 6 minutes.
The state of land.
Right. Yeah. And I, rates went up and I underwrote like 700 deals and all of them failed miserably. And it was like, I don't think this is going to be what we want to do. I'm really quickly exhausted with this. So land happened. And, it's just been an amazing, wild journey. So I want to go back to thank you for being willing to be honest. I cannot resonate with you more that I outkicked my coverage with my wife as well. And I truly worry, like some days, I always worry, like, will this be the day that she just wakes up and is like, okay, I think I missed it. Like, how did I end up with you for the last, and by the way, dude, sidebar, today is our 16-year anniversary.
Oh, so, congratulations.
Yeah, we've blessed this 16 years so far to her not figuring it out. I mean, here's the thing. We're going to a Morgan Wallen concert next weekend, so. And I'm sure she's great. So I'll figure it out, but it's fine. I'm sure she's really good.
Pretty jealous of the Morgan Wallen concert.
I'm acting like I'm not excited that I don't listen to his songs most days. Anyways, so we're going to Morgan Wallen. I think we'll make out. We'll probably kiss. So I'm excited about that. 16 years in here. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, bro. He said he had kids early. And by the way, listeners, please give me some credit. Hear what I heard. I don't know how you have the gall to call me a redneck when you just said you were a welder for 12 years and a project manager, then worked in diesel and truck pulls, which my family does, by the way. Like, how did I get redneck out of this? I worked at a welding and fabrication place for like 6 months as a co-op student. So you lasted way longer than me. How do I know how to do more stuff than you? I have questions now.
I think access. I think it's same thing. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you grow up with land? Like, didn't you grow up kind of with a farm?
I did. My grandpa had a farm. Yeah. Like a family farm,
and like
cattle ranch.
Yeah. And like, I was around that slightly younger with my, step grandpa. I would say he would be kind of the most hillbilly, but my biological dad really wasn't around a ton in that. Like he, early on fishing, things like that. And so like the hunting, and plus I hate killing things. Like I just now, as I've gotten into my 40s, gotten to the point where I'm fine, like filleting a fish and not crying. Like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I catch flies. I put them outside. Like, I don't kill flies. Like, it's just who I am, just kind of down to the core. And
it's biblical, bro. We are to have dominion over this earth.
I know. I just don't feel bad about it. It's not like I won't do it. It's like I just, I can go to the store and get it right now. Currently, but I do need hopefully friends to teach me that stuff.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get your hands up in a warm deer carcass this fall. It's happening. It's gotta happen. Okay,
out at the Airbnb.
I was gonna say it might be roadkill. You might have hit it with your van on the way to school drop off, but we're still getting your hands up in a deer carcass. I mean, it's happening.
We'll do it. Yeah, but that's so. Honestly, it's just I don't think that I just was around it enough. Like I grew up kind of country, right? Like I grew up in the country. It's just, and I grew up in the 80s. So like, like that's playing outside.
I like
doing
what
all
you
the
said,
stuff.
access, though. I like that. I like that you said that because honestly, I thought for years, Jason, I'm willing to admit that I had this belief that you can go, and I still have this belief somewhat, that you can go anywhere you want. You can do anything you want. Like we live in the greatest country in the world. And I do believe that. But what you said about access, I have started to realize more in the last couple of years as I'm adulting, and growing up a little, is people used to tell me like, well, they have it better off because they were born into this, or they were born around this, or they were born into something, or they were born away from something. And, poverty, whatever you may say, but like, I actually really believe that's true now because I look at my own life. I moved over to Ohio to chase opportunity. I could have lived in West Virginia forever. I could have stayed there forever. I could have lived and died in West Virginia. I have
Build a
nothing
legacy
against.
there. Yeah.
Could have. But I 1000% believe, and I will take to my grave, anyone listening to this, there is more opportunity here than in West Virginia. Okay, there is. There is. It's not even a question to me. There is. The economies here are growing. In West Virginia, they generally lose population. And the point of all this is, having moved here and having seen, if you just grew up here, and I live in basically Lancaster, Ohio now, if you just grew up here versus growing up in a desolate, podunk somewhere, small, tiny town with less, words you said, access to things, I think your life can be different. I really do. I think I just do. In 2 years, I look at what I've been able to do moving and just ripping the Band-Aid off. And I just think, I don't think I could build this runway like I am now. I don't think I could build that in West Virginia where I was because of what you said, access to growth, access to momentum, access to, whatever you want to call it, market palatability, palpability. I mean, access to juju, I call it, and just that feel. That's probably true. Maybe I'm more redneck because I had access.
Mentalities too, like like the different, like between me and my brother, right? Like there's the mentality of some people that are like, hey, I don't really need instructions. Like there's a tool, I'll just go try it and figure it out and learn it, right? I'm more of the other mentality of like, I'm not afraid of the tool, but I want someone to show me how to use the tool first, right? And so like without someone to show you how to drive a Bobcat, like I'm never going to drive it because like I just, like no one showed me.
You mean the wild animal?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Of course. What else are you writing?
Like on Talladega Nights.
My brother's a 6-year OU grad. Should be a doctor.
Right. The Bobcats, bro.
Baby.
Let's
go Bobcats.
Go. Some action Tuesday night, ESPN. I cannot wait, guys. We're about 4 weeks out from college football. Jason and I are going to the Texas game now. We talked about this offline. It's happening. The best statement, though. We will get back on track.
Real estate investors, though.
Yeah, we will get on track. But I promise you need to hear this. We both said we will go to that game. We just got to wait on some closings to happen, and then we can get our tickets. So tell us you're in real estate without telling us, my friend. It is feast and famine, both in the same week sometimes. So, all right, back up. I want to unpack this, man.
Yeah.
Well, what made you emotional that I want to drive in on, because I want to learn more here. You say your wife, and it sounds like when Stephanie came into your life, and I have had the occasion to know Jason's wife. Yes, we got kicked out of the Bible study. Yes, it's funny. Yes, we'll talk about it offline. I actually intro myself to anyone that knows Jason as, oh, yeah, I know Jason. I got kicked out of his Bible study. Ask him about it. It's a fun time. And it just eternally makes them frustrated. It's a great joke. Yeah. But when did Stephanie come into your life? Like, what? Give me back to because we're going to get to this Airbnb, folks. There is the point of having Mr. Jason, House Flipper Ninja, on here as Legacy Through Land, because I promise you, what he's doing with this Airbnb is creating legacy through land. Mm-hmm. But we're just not going to jump right there right now. We got to learn about the whole storyboard.
Rub it up.
Yeah. Where did Stephanie come in? And you said, dude, dark chapter, a couple dark places. You were taking care of your daughters.
So I don't obviously want to talk
through. Yeah. Don't talk through anything you don't want to talk through. But what are those chapters?
No, yeah. My two oldest daughters are from my first marriage, obviously. Like, got married early, kids having kids. Don't recommend it. Don't regret it, right? Like, it formed a lot. But in terms of who I am and building, like getting into a manual labor job and learning the discipline of showing up to work every day and putting in the work, and having older men really kind of treat you and teach you that, right? So Stephanie came into my life right around that time. Stephanie actually introduced me to her mom. I was filed for bankruptcy, living at home, divorced with 2 kids, on unemployment when Stephanie introduced me to her mother. Like that's how I met my my mother-in-law. Was a bankrupt father, divorced father of 2, living at home.
That's a pretty good Tinder profile, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a.
I tell my daughters, like, that's normally not the case. Like, maybe like there's normally 1 or 2 red flags in there, you know, that we would maybe have up that say, hey, let's maybe think a little bit about this. So
thank you for Stephanie's lapse in judgment, right? Thank you for her general lapse in judgment for that first window of time.
Thank you for what God put in her heart, that she feels like she has to fix people, you know, which we can't do in ourselves, right? But when she came into my life, my wife is very detailed. I'm terrible with money. I don't care about money. I care about serving people. I care about chasing people. My wife is very much structure, you know, everything like that. And so
boring.
I know, exactly, right? Like,
who needs structure and a plan? That is boring.
Yeah. Who needs a house?
That's why our wives don't let Jason and I schedule days together without one of them knowing. Like, cancel the cards. They are going somewhere.
We're on pause. So, like, she came in, and she stepped right in, right? Like, I was going to school at night. I was welding 70 hours a week. And then going to school full time at night to finish my degree in drafting and design. And she was living in Cincinnati. So she would actually come here, pick my daughters up from my ex-wife, get them home to my mom's house, bathe them, get them fed while I was at school at night. And so, like, she was a godsend, right? And so ultimately,
man,
he was like, hey, I'm not moving to Columbus until you get a job. And so I got another welding job.
I mean, it seems reasonable. Seems reasonable.
It seems like a reasonable request.
All right, well, we're through.
So I said, hey, got my job. She moved here. And that's how we started, right? And then around that, the second welding job was about another year. They did layoffs, and I was just sick of that, right? Like, so I got 2 kids. Like, I'm sick of these like the trades, like the layoffs and the like the roller coaster of this. So I thought I'd get into real estate, which is not, you know, that's a super like plateau thing, right? There's no peaks or valleys in this.
That's not predicated on interest rates today at all.
Nothing. And so that's Stephanie. Me and Stephanie have been married for 13 years, I think.
I always tell people, like, don't ask my kid's school. I don't know. Okay. Like, I'm the dad. So ask her.
But, and then when so my wife never would have, when I came to her originally, when the real estate investor offered me the job, and like, there was no guarantee on how much money I'm making. It was like, I was actually signing up to make less money. And to us, you know, like, when we're making like, you know, $40,000, $50,000 a piece, and thinking like, hey, we're doing like real good adult things here, and like, let's not mess this up. I'm giving, you know, 70 hours or 60 hours of my week for this. God was real clear with me, and he was real clear that I needed to make this jump. And like, and I remember specifically coming to her and saying, I feel like God told me I need to take this job, and I have no idea how much money I'm going to make. And I remember her sitting at her desk specifically, and this would normally be something that would set her, you know, like to A-type or like, you know, and she was like, okay. And that's how it started. And that's kind of in the obedience to God, right? Like, I think that's where it was like, take it to God, seek his kingdom first. And then I was obedient, and then he's laid the path for me since there.
Dude, that's so amazing. I mean, listen to what Jason said. If you're a listener, like, we're talking about in the trenches decision making, and in the trenches decision making is very hard when you are already clouded, tired. You know, you hear that statement all the time. Molly and I have heard the statement of like, never go to bed mad, you know, at each other, or never go to bed. Like, we 100% will go to bed mad at each other on purpose. Because when we have some rest and some sleep and get up the next morning and talk coherently, cleanly, I don't agree with this whole don't go to bed, don't go to bed mad.
Yeah.
Like, of course, we're not going to be like having some raging fight, but like if we're having an argument, we're both like, let's go to sleep. Let's rest, right? Because Jesus, when he was mad and tired, what did he go do? He slept. And that, so I'm just saying for you to say and make a decision in that moment where you're clouded, you're busting tail to stay afloat. That's 50% of your guys' revenue, household income at that time to take a chance on. And you said you don't even know how much you're going to make. Okay. Mm-hmm. Listeners, if you're not a person of faith, you won't get it. And I will tell you this much, like, don't think that you have to go take crazy decisions like this to become a person of faith.
Correct.
you have to belong to this community before you'll believe, but you don't have to believe to belong. This is something our church says all the time that I love, but I can hear in you, and I feel those because I know those seasons. You just said that you were going to take a job that you didn't even know how much you were going to make because God told you. Mm-hmm. Like, that is walking by faith. All right, so keep going, and we won't name names. I know who he worked for. I believe, Jason, you guys are still friends today. Yeah. Like, this was a beautiful season.
Yeah, I just bought a house from him. He actually wholesales some. One of the houses we're getting ready to list, I just bought from the investor I used to work for. So
God is good.
And in fact, when the title company offered, so I worked for him for 2 years, right? So when I started with him, there was 3 people there. There was him, the investor. He had 1 acquisitions person. And then he hired me to start doing the project management and to take the rehabs on. By the time I left, about 2 years later, we had 14 in-office people. Like, we outgrew 2 office buildings. It was amazing to be a part of scaling a business journey to 100+ deal company. And it was also amazing to realize I don't want any part of that. Like, for myself, like, he's just a crazy, like, A-type guy, right? Like you, like, just constantly thinking like growth. And I'm like, I like to stop and like bring other people with me, like, hey, we'll all get there. Go pave the way, Tyler. We'll all come behind you. That's kind of who I am. So, like, spending the time and managing 100 rehabs and just doing the part of just managing the rehab, right, was one of those things where it was amazing to also check and say, hey, I don't want this for my life down the road. Like, if we were to do this, I don't want to build this giant team, right? Like, that's not what I want to chase. I want to chase people, not money. And then once the title company sought after me, like because they were really growing, and they had they started in Columbus, then they kind of expanded to multiple states, because they're a virtual title company. When I went to him and told him, I was like, hey, man, like, this company, I've never had anyone seek after me, right? Like, that's the first time anyone's actually ever, like, come after me. And so I was like, hey, like, this title company's coming after me. And, like, he was like, dude, that sounds like a good move for what you're doing. Because at this point, while working for that investor, I was super blessed, to get paid a salary to learn how to renovate houses, learn how the whole process of finding deals, funding deals, all that. He also preached owning rentals. And then when it came down to buying a deal that didn't fit the company buy box in the flip or in his rental, he was like, hey, this is a good first rental. It's time for you, for lack of better terms, like, shit or get off the pot, like, it's time. If you're going to do it, I'll assign this house to you right now, no cost, and you can get your first rental. So after what I just said about my wife too, you know what I mean? Knowing who my wife is, I bought a rental without telling her that we were buying a rental. Same thing, prayed first, but like, I called her later and said, hey, I just signed a contract on our first rental. And she was like, okay, here we go. We're doing it. And so that's how we but same thing, just like in life, having your people, your small group, your people, even outside of your small group, there's people outside your small group you still like.
There isn't people outside your small group.
Yes. Sometimes you got to push
only have your small group,
right? Having people around me, behind me, saying, hey, this is a good deal. It makes sense. You're not going to lose money. That was a game changer to get into real estate, right? Because the hardest thing to pull, the hardest trigger to pull is that first one. And then the second hardest thing is to lick your wounds and do it again, right? Like if you do it once and then do it again, like it starts getting like easier, right? Like doesn't mean there's not bigger problems to solve, but you're more equipped to solve the problems, and it's not like as doesn't feel as drastic. And so that's kind of where I got to where I, and then getting to the title company, man, learning all the stuff, you know what I mean? Like you can be so headstrong and know this stuff, but I was naive to think when I went out on my own, oh, I can just go get my own leads, right? I can manage my leads, and then I can manage my rehabs, and then I can manage finding more deals, then I can manage my family time.
And manage the money of the business.
And and so my trombone business, yeah.
We have to get to that too.
Yeah, throw that in there. We'll get to that one.
So basically, if we back way up, Jason, in my past, I went from I mowed yards in 5th grade, then went to selling stuff on eBay while mowing yards, and then the mowing grew, and then I went from that to being a rock star on the road and broke and no money. Then went back to legal video depositions because that's a seamless transition, and then from legal video depositions into real estate. And then from a sector of real estate with residential house flips and rentals and Airbnb and all that stuff to I only do dirt. Yours, if I heard right, is way back was welder first, then diesel mechanic, guru. Then, in school for engineering, correct?
Drafting and design.
Drafting and design, but then gets a job at a sewing manufacturing place. Now, I remember enough to know when you say sewing, it was like more like large commercial signage and those kinds of things, right?
Well, so we did a lot of stuff for like racers. So like when they show up with the semi, like there's a Holiday Canopies company that used to make quick detached canopies that attach. So I would get a frame plan, and I would have to figure out how those stitch together, how you're going to attach it to that frame plan. And then I'd have to draw it by panels in CAD so that the table would automatically cut it out. I'd have to figure out. So basically I had to take 3D objects. The biggest thing was trampoline parks, man. Those things took over my life for about 3 years. We built probably 200 like trampoline parks, just pumping them out. Yeah,
wow.
Like I did just the pad, like the covers, right? Like I got sent drawings, and then of like, hey, here's a frame plan, and here's where the pads are, and then I would have to take that 3-dimensional pad with like a 35-degree bevel that connects to this pad going up here, and then I would have to figure out how to make those in flat in fabric and save like the most amount of fabric you can, and piece them together, and then send those cut files to the table, and then quality control, check them. Make sure they're getting shipped out. So like I got a huge plus working with the owner, like right in small business, like you're better off getting a job in a small business. My personal preference is like working for small businesses sets you up to learn so much more if you just care. And like if you care about what you're doing and the next person down the line, you gradually just learn more and more about business. And so my path through this has all kind of led me to where I'm at, and I can't contribute any of that. Like if I sit back and look at the pieces, like how do those pieces fit together in any other than God? Like
it is, but God. So the takeaway I have so far, and then I want to find out about how in the world you transition to getting a buddy to coerce you into getting into real estate. But right now, what I have so far for everyone listening, if you have me as your little boy, or you have a little boy and he likes to play with Legos, let him play with Legos. Because Jason got an adult Legos job. Okay. That's where these transition to. This is adult Legos. Okay. This is master level 6 of Legos. It's building designs and canopies and using CAD and drawing it together because it's basically Legos. I always think of jobs that like I see, day to day. And I think like the jobs that I see that are like, dude, this is adult Legos. Like, that's what you're doing. That's literally what you're, like landscape, retaining walls. And they're like, this interlocks and this and this and that. Like, oh, that's just Legos, just on a bigger scale. You're doing adult Legoing as a kid.
There's someone out there that does everything, right? That's what drives me, and like what feeds me is serving people, but also knowing like, every person's got crazy abilities and crazy things that they're
Yep.
good at. And if you take a little bit of time to figure out who they are and what they're good at, like being able to connect people is so magical, and to see that stuff happen.
So how do you take us back to how does your buddy convince you to come into real estate from CAD and making canopies?
Yeah, so actually, I was on vacation, just desk scrolling on Facebook, like so many other people, being jealous of what you see from other people, and
Because all that's real, right? Everything on Facebook is real.
yeah, it's real, right? They have that life, right? Like they're not living beyond their means. Some of them are not, but really just scrolling through.
Most are.
And there was a guy I went to high school with him, and he posted, "Hey, looking for a project manager." And I wasn't looking for a job, but like it was just I just answered for what company, and he said my company, and then we started talking while I was on vacation. And like I remember 13 years ago, sitting on my living room in here with my wife, going watching HGTV thinking, how do people do this? How do they afford 2 mortgage payments? Like we're barely getting by paying our house mortgage. I can't even think about buying another house and working a job and trying to work. Like it was one of those things, right? Just our school system, I think our society does a bad injustice of not
Yep.
teaching more of that in our like school system. But
Yeah,
um,
but we know how to use Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so
yeah,
it's all good. I
great.
mean, that
It
has come
does.
up so
Listen,
much in my
I
life.
do love geometry. When you're a welder, geometry is amazing. It's a huge tool. So anyway, like I just reached out and then we just started the conversations. And then same thing, wasn't really looking to leave my good job. And then he was like, "Hey, just come walk one of my rehabs with me." And then as I walked it, I was able to be like, "Something's wrong with that deck," or like point out things that were wrong. And he was like, "Hey, you seem like you know what you're talking about." And then that's pretty much what it was. It was just kind of all these things. And then I prayed, and there were a few things that happened like 2 or 3 days in a row when I was just praying hard, about doing this, that made it like the peace, right? Like it wasn't him. He didn't do anything. It was God, like in the peace that I had about the decision. The biggest fear I had was the lie of thinking that everyone in this industry is all worldly. They're just out for cash. I thought I was like, I'm strong in my faith at this point, but I'm still early, right? Like in my faith. And I'm like, man, I don't want this fire to burn out for Jesus by jumping into the wolves. That was ridiculous to think. Like, that's so small minded to think that way. And then here I am as I start being bold about, like, hey, yeah, I do this for Christ. I'm just blessed to keep doing it, right? And it frees me up to be with people. Um, and that's kind of like where it was, that peace in the decision of praying more than anything. He convinced me, to be
Yep,
totally honest. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I love it. It's just, oh man, I was raised in church, right? I mean, I'm the kid
Was
that
not.
has the uh, I'm the one when they say that you had a drug problem. I had a drug problem because I was drugged to every church that was open, every revival, everything. I was drugged to it. But um, what I always heard as a young kid that I couldn't feel or have the capacity to understand until I became more of an adult, and especially in my own, I think there's a point in anyone's spiritual journey. Like you can be raised in a great household and raised spiritually like I was, but there is a point in your own journey where you have to decide to own your own faith. Like you have to take ownership or it won't last. Like you
Mhm.
have to own it. You can't ride your parents. You can't ride your grandparents' faith. You can't live on someone else's. And in my young boy upbringing, I would hear people say like the peace that passes understanding, the peace that surpasses all understanding. You'd hear this peace that surpasses all understanding. As a little boy, I'm like, that's the weirdest thing. That makes no sense. I think
Yeah.
that sounds really cool. You had a great testimony at church. Awesome. You have the peace that surpasses all understanding. And as a young adult, and as a, like you're talking about, where you place yourself into the pit of the lion's den of what should I be doing? There is a peace that surpasses all understanding that
Mhm.
will come with discernment of praying through these seasons. And So now I know what it's like, man. Now I have felt it. And what you're talking about was that, like, you had to have that piece. I felt it. I have finally felt it as a probably young adult, finally felt it. And as I'm in my adulthood years of really, really having to know that the piece that I'm chasing and the piece in the world, or the piece that I'm chasing in business or success or whatever it is that you want to measure, it's all irrelevant. There's only one piece that surpasses the understanding of the world, and it is to have our trust in God and our trust in his path for our life. So you have this season, you said over 100 houses that you probably managed for your buddy?
Yeah. We're about 100 anywhere from like 120 to 150 that we did over those 2 years of flips. So we were like a 90% fix and flip, 10% wholesale. Yeah, it was a lot, right? Like it was, but same thing. Very, very blessed to learn the importance of the game and project management and managing it, because I was also flipping in the time when people were throwing 50K over list price, no inspections, cash offers. So those houses that I was 12K over budget didn't hurt as bad when you're making an additional 50K for the company. Any other place, like it's a hard thing, right? I did 150 plus or 150 rehabs. I was over budget probably 148 times, right? And like,
yeah, literally. Yep. I can resonate with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. People that are like, you just have to budget better. Like, no, you're not doing enough flips. Okay.
Yeah.
First off,
I'm very blessed to at least do it with a company that tracks numbers and sits down and has meetings and actually has like real, like professional stuff where it's like, hey, let's not be like let's not
wing it.
Like we made 120,000 one year in the first quarter just in over offer extras. So in one quarter, there's like 120K of extra profit. That was like, let's be clear, that saved us. Otherwise, we like lost, right? And so that was a real eye opener in that, and very blessed to be like, hey, you got to be diligent about managing these things or they get out of control real quick.
Insane. It is insane. So let's fast track. Let's fast track a little bit. You spend all that time learning there. And if you guys are thinking through here, you're mentally keeping tabs of all the weapons that Jason is putting in his tool belt. It's amazing. All those weapons that, people just think like success happens overnight. Like you hear people just, I heard there's one of my good friends in real estate, Bill Allen. Bill Allen once said one time, like, I was an overnight success that took 15 years to create. And I was like, that is the right way to say it. Like overnight, something shifted that took 15 years to create. So the overnight success of something, when people are like, oh, man, I hired AI. I just downloaded Motion. It fixed my calendar. I'm making 700 million. I have a drop ship on Amazon and I create products on Canva. And I'm just like super, super, super rich. And I'll teach you how to do it in 7 minutes if you click this link. Usually it's not true. It's usually not true. Or when people are watching other people's story and they're like, dude, overnight he made like 14 million. I'm like, no. It took 25 years of tool belt adding to have something occur on a timeline that you happen to lean in to see that you now somehow think was an overnight success. It wasn't. Look at all the stuff that you're building into your arsenal. So, all right, shut up, Tyler. Where are we going? We're going to a title company next. How in the world? Now we're going to a title company. How, I'm picturing them grooming you. And did it involve a city barbecue like you and I's dating did, or no city barbecue during the time?
Yes, actually there was lunch, but it was it was at the place where they operated. They had a really nice restaurant underneath where the office was, but it was just random. She just asked me. I thought she was asking me. I thought the owner of the title company actually called me to get my boss to start sending his business. I was like, oh, I'll take a free lunch, even though I can't get his business to you. Like, I'll come hang out with you.
Which Chipotle is closest to Lowe's, ma'am? I will be.
And so I was like, hey, I'll go get a free lunch. You're not going to get his business. Like he's pretty stuck in like who he uses.
They sucked you right in, man, like a tractor beam. You didn't even.
And she just hit me like in the first 5 minutes with it of like, hey, actually, I called you here because I want to hire you, and I was like, whoa. Like that, like I've never had anyone be like that up front, especially when you didn't apply for a job, like, so that's where it came. But then it got me thinking. And then when I went back to the investor and said like, hey man, they made this offer. He said, hey, it's a great move for who you are and what you're doing. Cause I just started to buy rentals. Right. And so he was like, but listen to me. They're seeking after you. He was like, he's like, I know it goes against everything of who you are, but go negotiate your value, man. He was like, they are seeking after you. And so like, I was like, okay. So like I went back and negotiated like a higher pay. They didn't bat an eye. And I was like, oh. I was like, okay. So, but having people like that learning from people and listening to them, right? And not just shrugging it off. It's like, hey, sometimes you got to implement some of these things that you look up to from people, right? Like I look up to his negotiating skills. I hate negotiating. There's a balance. I don't have to be him, but I can be better, right? Like I can negotiate smarter.
So if Jason ever has anything on Marketplace, just lowball him to death and he'll probably just say, yeah. He's like, you seem like a nice guy.
When people offer money for these trombones, they're like, how much? I'm like, just make an offer. They're like,
if your kid's going to go to school and play it, you can have it. All right. I'm giving you 60 seconds. You can't flirt with the trombone house. Tell us in 60 seconds about the trombone house, folks. This is what happens in house flips. I had these old stories, but what's the trombone house?
Yeah, so we bought a flip in Newark. Guy had 60 days to leave after we bought it. Took all 63 days, and then left. Took his guns and coins, but then left 100 trombones, what we ended up finding, plus hundreds of mouthpieces and all these stuff. Asked ChatGPT how much is these to scrap out, and ChatGPT said 10 to 12 per, but why would you scrap it when you could sell a non-functioning one for $50 on eBay? And I was like, oh. So then we took them to our Airbnb, and we've just been selling them to people and just really blessing people. Like I post them higher, and then when they show up, depending on who they are, like I'll either just give it to them, or like we're selling them for just basically money to repair or like upgrade some things at the Airbnb. So that's what that house is. 100 trombones.
I have a question, man. This is totally unrelated, but I need like 70 trombones just for a charity event that I've got. And I'm broke, like I can't pay for them. Do you think you could do?
From what I hear, man, these guys make some money renting these trombones out too. It made me start thinking maybe I need a rental company.
If you guys are watching on YouTube, just comment how to make an offer on trombones. Comment and what did I miss? I was trying to get these for free and then sell them. Give you some sob story, but amazing, the trombone house. All right, so they're pitching you to the real estate company, the title company. They're pitching you. You negotiated. You take the gig. Mm-hmm. We haven't done a good job of this. When would house flip era have been? What time frame is this? During the pandemic, I like to call it, because basically you could sell toilet paper for $100,000 over ask. Yeah. So, all right. So house flip era was 22, 21?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Title company era is
22 to 23-ish, late 23, 24, something like that.
And you mentioned this earlier, but prior to the title company and doing the house flips, I mean, you had long careers. You said 12 years welding. How long were you at the seam? How were you long at the seamstress job?
So I was at the diesel shop like 3 years, the sewing shop about 6 years or so.
Okay.
And then I was with the investor 2 years, and then
they pitched you. So you would have stayed with the investor longer, I'm guessing.
They wouldn't have left. There was no reason for me to left. But the interesting thing is, same thing. I like kind of moved. Like he doesn't like to talk to people, or like he doesn't like people in general. So like he wanted me to be the face for him. So like as we grew, we brought on 2 other project managers, and like as we had to do a real evaluation, right? Like as a company, did evaluation, personality assessment, realized that my personality assessment is not that of a project manager. I'm going to be overtime, over budget, but the contractors are always going to jump for me. Like they're always going to be available. They're going to love me. I'm going to take care of them. And that was a hard pill to swallow. And sitting there,
I can't hit a timeline or budget, but they love me. Okay,
yeah,
guys.
yeah. But it was a hard pill to swallow when you sit there and like think, and it was like, maybe I'm the right person, wrong seat for this business, for this current business that we're doing where it's high volume. That makes a huge difference when you're over budget that much. When you're over budget 4% on 100 houses, that's a huge difference. And so like to a company. And so like I swallowed the pill, and then I was like, all right, well, let's bring in people whose personality assessments match a project manager and let me train them on what we do, how we do it. And then I moved more into a relationship management where my job was to be the face of his company, go find
almost like a general manager.
Yeah, and I'd go find more deals, build relationships with other wholesalers, make sure like we were doing everything we could to keep the name out there, which is right around the time that title companies started, which is why I was out in public a lot more for his company, repping his company when she saw me. And then, you know me, I don't meet a stranger. And, if someone asks for help, I'm going to help them. It's just who I am. And so, and I'm a terrible liar.
They wouldn't have even had to pay you, really. You probably would have said, yeah.
Dude, I've never known how much money I'm a true Nate Bargatze. Like, I hint, like, if I had a bank, where would it be?
Right.
I could find out, but I'd have to go through my wife.
Yeah. I always tell people, like, in our business, I know where everything is, but I'm not sure where my mortgage goes. I'm not sure who has it. I don't know what the rate is. We did a budget one time, Molly and I did a budget like, I don't know, 5 years ago where, it's Dave Ramsey-esque and like, hey, we've got to start writing stuff down. And like, I need to see, I want to see where we're at. And we go through everything. Well, then this is going to date when this was, but DirecTV bill was like $140 a month. And I was like, you're absolutely kidding me that we're paying them $140 a month. She's like, we've been paying them $140 a month for like 4 years. Like, what? Why? That is way too, like, it was just funny. Like, you're worried about that? Like, that is insane. Like, I never knew that, because I would get evicted from my own house having the money in the bank. I wouldn't know where to put it.
They'd be like, prove who you are. And I'd be like, how do I do that?
Yeah. Like, well, she's on my emergency card, so you need to ask her. I'm not really sure what my social is. I always love that reel. We'll get back on track here, but I love that reel that's like, my husband's listed on my emergency card, the wife, but yet I'm on his emergency card. And if you don't ask me, like, he will die. He doesn't know anything about it. So I'm not sure why I have him on my emergency card. Of what help is that?
Well, and the reason too, also really, just to bring this back to real quick, the reason I mentioned like the reason I'm very vocal about like eating that pill of being not a great project manager, not in the right seat, is that like in this industry, there's no room for pride. Like you have to humble yourself, and you have to understand that like there are people who are far better at all these things than you are, right? You can go find them, collaborate with them, and do it. If you can white knuckle through it, but it's always going to be a battle in this world. If you're just trying to white knuckle everything, you're going to burn out, and it's just always going to feel like a battle. And you've got to find the people that are good at some of these other things. Which right now, doing it for ourselves, I don't have a choice but to do all those things. And we're in this weird place as a business where I'm like, I know I need help right now. I need to hire, but it's scary because the bank account says, how are you going to pay them? Right? Like, how are you going to pay them? What are you going to have them do? You're not good at all the lies that go through the head, right? So these have been heavy prayers lately for us, but
well, dude, it's so spiritual though. Like what was so eye-opening for me with doing those culture assessments and culture index, predictive index, Myers-Briggs. One of my favorite is the Working Genius has an assessment, but it became so spiritual for me to see and hear how we are wired. These tests will tell you, if you're a listener here and you've never, like, this is going to be really eye-opening. I got into the same stuff Jason was testing for, which is like a culture index test or a predictive index test is basically asking you a series of questions to understand who you are organically wired to be. And I will assert, and Jason would agree, who God made you to be, because we're all different. And our skill sets that we just wake up and possess are different than each other. And, I've been since learning who I am through these tests and how to apply that into the workspace, I've been very, very just thankful to learn that it's not, and our parents, I was always raised to like, well, you got to get better at this, or you got to do better at this, or Jason, you can't hit a budget. You need to get better at managing budgets. And you would say like, dude, every brain cell in me wants to do that, but I am better at creating long-term relationships with these contractors. They'll show up on a Saturday morning unannounced with their dump trailer and get the work done when no one else will work on a Saturday because you're expecting them to hit time and budget, and you don't have a relationship with them. So they don't care. They're not showing up. There's a difference, and there's value to both. Well, my parents, they're not wrong in saying, hey, you should get better at this. But what I think is wrong is, hey, you should get better at this is actually, hey, you should find someone who's better at that, because you're probably better at something than they are, because that's how God made you to be. He wanted us to be unique. It is spiritual. And if you're not a person of faith, I fully 1000% believe we are all built to just organically be great at a handful of things. And my juices are different than your juices, and those juices and their juices, and all the juices together. What I love about the Working Genius is it defines like the 6 things that a successful business must possess, these character traits that a business must possess. You have 2 that you're just good, like you wake up and have 2. You can adapt and do 2. And then there's 2 that you couldn't do to save your life if you were paid $200,000 a second to do them. You couldn't do them. So what you figure out is, all right, here's your 2 you're good. Here's your 2 adaptions, and here's what you don't have. Well, guess what I hired for? Everything I didn't have. Everybody that I would hire had to be good at what I wasn't good at. What I wasn't good at was having lots of battery. I like to go create stuff, but I don't have the battery to finish it. I don't want to finish it. I get bored with it before it even started. I want to go create something new. So I find people that have battery, right? Like I'm just saying, those are the things that, right? It was belief building though, Jason, to know, no, it's not that you're bad. It's that God wants you to go, because guess what? When you go create something, it creates opportunity for the people that have battery that want to go finish something. It's spiritual. Yep. They want you to go create something because they won't. They don't have those 2. They don't have the invention. One of them's invention. They couldn't invent to save their life. Well, it doesn't create any work for them because they don't know how to invent. They need an inventor to invent so I can go do and have battery to finish. And so like it's spiritual, and it was so helpful, like to just unpack that, to know you're not a bad person. You're not bad. You're not inherently bad. Right person, you said it, wrong seat. What Carl, my coach that I love so much, Carl has been on my podcast. What Carl would also say is that right place, wrong time. Yeah. In the or right setting. This is the right setting, wrong seat, like you said. Yeah. And there is a difference in that. Right person, wrong time, right place, wrong time. Because it doesn't mean you're not valuable to a company. It just may mean you're not in the right seat for what that seat needs. Yeah. All right. We digressed. This is Jason and Tylerisms. We do have a Bible study. It's fun. It's on Saturday mornings. If you want to come to it, you're welcome to. We generally haven't done it in like 8 weeks. But, once our kids get back in school, we promise we'll have gold star attendance. So title company now, we're about to enter into an era that you're in now. Yeah. Everybody buckle your seatbelt. Title company, talk through that, and then where are you at now?
Yeah, so title company was great. Didn't seem like a real job, right? In terms of getting paid to go just be me. And like, that's really what I got paid to go. I got paid to go to real estate events in 3 different states, which if you're wanting to get into real estate, go to real estate events. They're free. Like they're out there. Columbus, you're blessed with real estate events all the time. And then you just meet people and you shake hands and it compounds and it rolls and then you buy a house. But anyway, so just being paid to go be me, learn, and just really care about who I'm meeting and just kind of make an impact there. Was that for 2 years. And then it's just one of those things. It's the title world is a up and down world. Title companies make it. Title companies don't. The business fluctuates with, with the market too, right? But if you're, so there's all sorts of factors that contributed, but Ohio was main base. Ohio started growing itself. I understand as a company, you don't need that sales position anymore if that territory's growing itself, right? Like, I'm not an idiot. So, but I didn't realize that the cut was coming, and then just kind of hopped into a normal weekly meeting. Like, hey, sorry, no longer a job, no explanation or anything. Here's severance. I actually called my wife. I've never been fired, like, other than like a company shutting down. Like, I called my wife while I'm being fired on video call. Like, I'm losing my job and I don't know what to do. Like, I've never had this happen. She's like, relax. She was like, this is just, we're getting pushed into something we were too scared to do. And that's coming back around to having that person, right? And having home, right? Like having that connection at home, right? Where it's like, we know each other, we're connected, we talk with these things, we pray with each other, we pray for each other. And to have someone be a little cushion for me, like, hey, go fishing. She was like, take a couple, and the funny part is, broke my heart because they let me go. And then while I'm standing there, like, they're signing me out of all the things. And so, like, my computer just starts saying, like, logging out everything. I'm getting all these notifications about being logged out, everything. I was the one who answered the phone the most because I'm a guy who answers spam calls. I just want to know who's on the other, like, who is it? I mean, you know, maybe a foreign prince that's going to make me rich, right? So, like, I answer these calls anyway. And so they took me off everything except the phones. And so for 2 hours after they fired me, I still answered the phones. And I was like one of the only people that would answer the sales line normally. So, like, I still answered the phone for them for about 2 hours. And then finally, like, I ended up, someone called me back, a big investor that I was trying to set a meeting with. And I was like, hey, just so you know, like, I'm no longer there, like, as of today, but, like, I'll send you over to them so I can get that meeting set up. And then I sent them a message and was like, hey, you should probably reach out to this guy. He's a big guy. He's ready to get signed up. So have someone reach out to him. And I was like, please take me off the phone lines now. Like, please go ahead and remove my phone from it. So that was one of those. But, like, my wife told me when it happened, she's like, relax, go fishing, go clear your brain for a little bit, take a minute. And, like, and that's where I go to think, right? I go to fish to think. But, and so that's kind of where that happened, right? And then it was, all of a sudden, at this point, my daughters are back home. I don't have to worry about safety and that. It's like a whole part of my brain was freed up that I could say, let's just go. And, you know, my wife said, hey, we got a little bit of a runway to bet on yourself. Like, you know, go do it.
So what are you doing? What do you do with that runway? Like, by the way, I think I need to interview Stephanie. This is so awesome. Shout out to Stephanie if you're listening to this. That is so awesome that she gave you permission to go fishing. Wives, if you're listening to this, you know, it is spiritual. Jesus did teach the disciples while fishing. I'm just saying, it's a spiritual thing. Okay, dude, if you have a $70,000 bass boat, whatever, that's your deal. But hey, the fishing part I can help you with. So wives, let's go fish. You know, Jason, one of my podcasts that I will challenge you to listen to sometime is with David Miller, one of my very good spiritual friends and hunter friends. And David coined this phrase, go outside, look inside. Mm-hmm. And, dude, like, it can be fishing, it can be hiking, it can be staying in a tent, it can be staring at a tree, it can be hunting, it can be whatever you want, dude. I know why you went to where you went.
Yep. It's the only place.
It really is.
And battle some of those thoughts, you know what I mean? And, like, address them.
Yep. So, all right. So what'd you do? Everybody get your notepads out unless you're driving.
What did I do? I did a few mistakes that I would not encourage you to do, right?
Surely not. You made a mistake.
I said, listen, I know this game, right? And by this time, right, I've got 2 rentals and we've already bought our Airbnb, hence, right? Like,
hold on a second. You didn't, like, try to break your back and go on disability, I heard. So you didn't, this is a fun one. How long did you file for unemployment?
Oh, the whole time. I mean, I called lots of investors, asked them if they were hiring, you know, applied.
Well, yeah, I was getting ready to say, you paid into it.
Are you hiring? No. No.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. No.
All right, you paid into it, but all right, keep going. What'd you do?
So like while doing that, right? So I have a private money lender. So that makes it super easy. He'll fund 2 deals at one time for me, right? I've done a few deals with him. So now we've built up the relationship to where he trusts that we're going to do things. What I thought was the best idea, me being me and knowing, hey, you got to go generate leads. Like, let's go do this myself, right? So I decided I was going to start a business, right? And start like the whole thing and start the marketing and the lead gen. And I was going to manage that. And so I borrowed money from my private money lender as like a business loan. And then he also does full funding on the houses, right? So that the money that I borrowed, we did like just to get like the marketing rolling. And then after about 6 months of really being terrible at it, right? And then having to self-reflect and be like, what am I doing? Like, I am just wasting money because I'm not good at running a business. It's time to just go buy houses and fix them. And that's it, right? Like, just there's plenty of deals to be bought from wholesalers or on market. Like, just go buy a house, fix it, and get it moving, right? And so I did that, and then ultimately had to go eat crow and sit down and talk with the private money lender too and say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm not using this money for what it was intended for, but it is still extremely valuable for me to have for EMDs, for 10% down with hard money, different things like that. And he was like, hey, as long as you're paying me my percentage quarterly, like keep it as long as you need it. And so like that was super helpful, right? It's super helpful because if you're going to get in it, unless you have someone willing to fund the whole deal, you're going to need about $25,000 to $35,000, right? And something, equity, direct or self-directed IRA, something. You're going to need some way to bring some skin to the game, at least. And so that's kind of where we got started off there. And then after I saw other people who called me for advice doing more than me, and then I started posted on Facebook, baby, and seeing like, what am I doing? Right. And then I start getting in my own head, like people come to me and ask me, but I can't do it. Like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I do this? And so I shut it all down, right? Like I've wasted $20,000 at this point, like on marketing.
What did you shut down? Yeah. What were you shutting down?
So I started up with Deal Machine, started pulling lists and having a cold caller call, and going into Podio and doing the website, the whole kit and caboodle. And then ultimately I've shut it all down since, except for Podio, since I paid for all that data, even though it's probably worthless data at this point. Like I'm holding on strong that there's something in there that's going to be worth that 20 grand I spent, right? But ultimately, like, same thing like we talk about. It's not always sunshine and grapes when people are posting, right? Like it's those people that I thought were crushing it. Some of those people are in pretty bad financial problems now, right? And like they were, like, and so it was a hindsight of like, hey, maybe God was slowing me down so that I wouldn't get in trouble, right? And then it was like, maybe God was slowing me down so I'd lean into him more instead of being like, oh, I can do this. Like I had to get humbled real quick and be like, there's a good chance I'm going to have to like repost, hey guys, I'm now working at a job, like there was those thoughts going through the head. Like I just posted I'm a real estate investor. Now I'm going to be like, hey guys, anybody need a new roof?
I laugh, but dude, I resonate so much with that stuff. And I know there's people listening that do. Like we get in our heads so much sometimes because I've actually posted very little lately because I've been in the trenches in some stuff, mostly good stuff. I just have enormous responsibility right now that has kept me so busy and clouded that like I'm doing some heavy stuff. I'm leaving this evening to go to Illinois and it's going to be some heavy stuff that I have to do. And I'm going to talk about it. I keep teasing my listeners. I'm going to talk about it. I just haven't been ready. I've been embarrassed or I've been tired. I've been whatever. But like those are the most real and vulnerable and engaging and connective type posts if we are being real. But we want to always put this facade on of no, I've got to grow my investor relationships and I got to act like I have all my crap together and I got to act like I've got it all figured out and I've never failed. And it's a ginormous lie. It's a ginormous lie that the biggest successes in life have failed the most. That's the only way they've ever become successful, is they fail the most. And I don't think that society, I think we often shame failure way too much, and we don't embrace it enough. We don't praise failure enough. We've normalized it to be something that no one talks about.
Shame it. It's just a lot of people internally hope that successful people fail, and then we have the fear of how we look to those people. And it's not even that they care. And it's not even that they really want us to fail. It's just they feel poorly about like their fear of failing. It's just all of fear, right? It's just all living in fear instead of faith.
Fear mongering. Yeah. 100%. It is. So, all right, let's put a bow on what you did, though, because you to our listeners sounds like a seamless transition. You get let go from a job. You've never been let go. And what I know Jason did, and I'm going to kind of give my version of what he did to help put a framework together here, is he worked with a ton of wholesalers. He worked with a ton of rehabbers. He worked with a ton of real estate investors. And I remember we would talk and have lunch or breakfast or just phone calls. And he was always like, I help these dudes transact all the time. Like, I watch what they're doing. I just need to get into the dang game and start doing it myself. Like, I watch what they're doing. I watch them flip houses. I watch them wholesale deals. I need to just do it myself. And finally, I remember him calling me, and he's like, dude, it's happening. It is happening. I was like, dude, let's go. You do know how to do it. Listen to the story. You manage flips for a guy. You've transacted flips for people. You've transacted wholesale deals for people. You know about going to networking events and hearing about, deal flow and off-market deals and strategy and skip trace and all these sexy words and all this jargon. Yeah. He had all the head knowledge in the world of it. So you finally said, I'm going to bet on me, because you always worked for someone else. Always. Prior to all this, you always worked for someone else. So what you guys are hearing, and believe me, I'm not against working for someone else. I'm not.
Not at
all. I think I would love to work for someone else some days. As long as I didn't have to do it.
Often now I think about the joy of welding. Just give me a print and let me just weld this piece right here. No problems, no people, no phone calls.
Short jean hat, flat bill raised up, couple monsters in my cooler. It's all good. Call my girl my old lady. It's a great life. If you're a welder and you don't do any of that, thank you. But all the ones that I worked with did. And so it was, anyway, if you're not that, great. I love welding as well. Let's actually weld on some galvanized together sometime, Jason, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
I've heard great. Anyway, I think though, you didn't let it have the weight that I know it had, which is you bet on yourself. You became unemployed. Yeah, you became unemployed and went out on your own. So now Jason is one of them real live house flipper gurus. He's a guru, but what he is actually is a duru. That's what I talk about all the time. The people that actually do the business, not the gurus. So what do you feel like for you, and where I want to go next? Like, because I know this has been an enormous journey, but what do you feel like have been some of your takeaways? Not so much from like, hey, getting better at house flipping or getting better at your craft. Those you could talk about for hours. And I love watching Jason hone his craft. I love hearing his calls because by the way, I don't flip houses anymore. I'm not anti-house flipper, though. I am not anti-house flipper. What he said earlier that I believe is the most pivotal takeaway that he learned with his previous position with the mega house flipper is there is some dangerous, there's a tipping point in scaling a business, and it's not for everyone to get to that level. You said 14 full-time employees. I had 15 full-time employees at one time, had all the hierarchy you could ever have. We were having to sell $80,000 worth of houses a month, had to make $80,000 a month to make payroll, like to keep the business afloat. We had to make $80,000 a month. It was not awesome. It wasn't fun. It started fun. Team meetings were awesome. Hype was great. Rap music playing. We got our quarterly meeting and it's awesome. And we're doing it in Cancun at the beach. Like, cool, whatever. You had all the hype. Dude, the bank was drained all the time. It was like totally on fumes. And guess who wasn't winning when it was always on fumes? The dude that like held all the weight. So I know what that feels like. And I'm not saying you can't build it right, by the way. We know, he and I personally know some dudes that have built some serious businesses here that have done it right. Haven't peeled back the layers, haven't seen tax returns, but by all accounts, they've done it right. So I'm not against it, but what I know that you've experienced that I'm really happy for you to see is that there is a happy point where you do have some problems in business. You do, but you have some money too to fix problems with. You have some lifestyle, you have some stability. And I tried to like get to that level and then just race past it. Like, oh, that's cool, but let's just race past it, right? That's boring. We have problems and we don't have systems and our trucks aren't fully wrapped. And oh my gosh, we're just losers. Dude, there was a lot more money at that level. There was a lot more take home. I mean, and it's not, okay, back up. It's not about money, right? You and me, what we are the same one is lifestyle. It's about lifestyle. And I hear, successful people talk all the time, and they give me these buzzwords. They don't realize they are, but I'll never forget one of the most successful people that I've ever known that kind of mentors me inadvertently when we talk. He doesn't know it. He said, it's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. It's not about what you make. It's about what you keep. And dude, I wasn't keeping none. Sure, things were getting paid. Payroll was getting paid. Stuff was getting paid, but I wasn't keeping none. Yeah. Right. I wasn't keeping none. So
it's a big, that's not an uncommon thing with people, man.
That's what has to be done. Like in Jason's business, what I'm going to very much challenge him in as he continues to grow is it's about what you keep. It is okay to have problems and not have a dialed CRM and not have all this stuff and have people calling you because there's fires in your business. I believe it is okay to a level when you keep enough money to chase the lifestyle you set out to create in the beginning when you started the business. You started it to serve yourself, but then it quickly quit serving you and serves everyone else. Just be careful of it. That's what I'm so allergic to in my own business right now is I don't want to create. I could go hire 5 people. I don't want to because I have stress. I didn't get home till 9:30 last night walking a farm. I mean, pulling ticks off me last night. That's okay though, because I'm chasing lifestyle, not scale.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, so there's this thing that I know about. Well, let's make sure you put a bow on this. You're about how far into your journey of betting on yourself? About 2 years?
Over a year now.
Okay.
Okay.
What's your 60-second elevator takeaways? Hey, if you were going to start over and bet on yourself again, what would you do differently?
I'd basically start buying properties sooner, right? Like I wouldn't have waited until I was in my late 30s to start buying properties. But understanding rentals don't really make money until they're 5+ years old, until you've owned them for 5+ years and haven't had a new tenant every 5 years. Flips, like you have to get truly good by doing. You can try and get all the knowledge you want, but you only get the real knowledge by buying it and doing it and licking wounds and keep doing it. Like that's the only way you're going to learn all of it. And then just really get out and shake hands, dude. Like the power in real estate is in the networking. I just literally did a post the other day because people have been saying to me, like, if you notice, I don't know, do you watch any like my Facebook videos? Like I put the videos up there. People started telling me they like the videos, right? They just like seeing like what I was doing. And then I started thinking, well, if you like watching the videos, I'm going to make sure I had a worship song on every video. Like if you're going to watch them, you're going to listen to worship song with me because we do this for Jesus and I do this to give glory to him, right? But get out and shake hands. And people always ask me, you must have a crew. And I put a post out like, yeah, I got a crew, but like, there's all these people it takes that like, these are all the people that worked on this one project. And like, I wouldn't have known these people to call for this project had I not been out shaking hands and meeting them before and having conversations with them before I bought the house. So that would be my takeaway is get out, shake hands, meet people, put them in your phone, call them, ask them for quotes on things, ask them to walk wholesale houses with you and just go do it. Like, that's it.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, I would even translate all what Jason's talking about in his house flip sector. It's translates to anything. Like I do land. Everything he just said you can do with a piece of dirt. Everything he just said you can do with a multifamily asset. Everything he just said you can do. Like pick your nuance.
Mm-hmm.
We're staying in real estate
Enjoy.
because it's what we know. Jason, I'm sure you've heard of Brent Daniels, the wholesale
Mm-hmm.
guy, Brent Daniels. And Brent, I wish I had thought of this before Brent because it's genius. But TTP is his thing. Talk to people. That's it. Three
Yeah.
letters, TTP. Talk to people. And that's where it all starts. And you and I have no problem of doing that. And everyone can joke that, we could go talk to a urinal in a one-person bathroom. But here's the deal. Here, and I do,
So,
right? I'm like,
yeah.
phew, that's cold. Here's the deal with that. That is how the world goes around, and that is how you know a guy, and that is how you make connections. And when you need connections, you've made those deposits by opening your mouth and talking to people through Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we make an effort to talk to them through the eyes and lens of Jesus. But that's how you make the deposits to go get the withdrawals. It just is. Talk to people.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears here. You and I could talk for hours, but what I know about Jason that we're going to jump to is he's got a cool piece of dirt that has
Mm-hmm.
been what they call the Airbnb. I almost know the address. I have to ask him for it like every time because I know ish where it's at, but I don't trust
Yeah.
myself enough yet up
Yeah,
here.
the trailer
Uh,
park it sits behind.
yeah, I mean, it feels so West Virginia, but it's not,
Yeah. Wait till you go
So,
back there now.
oh, I can't wait. Don't even
Like,
get me.
yeah. Trailer park
I can't
sold.
wait.
They didn't sell it to me, but
Jason. Oh, I'm gonna have to scold you after this. All right. Anyways, talk about some dirt. I want to hear the family
awesome
story.
bird.
I want to hear
All
the
right.
family version. Guys, he
Family
does do
version.
land. He doesn't know it, but he does do land. So
Yeah.
jump
So
in.
working with the investor, when I worked with that investor, being tagged in all of his before and after pictures, right? So my family here in Pataskala, Ohio, has owned or had owned a mobile home park and then a 9 acre property behind it with a pond and everything. And that's where my grandma lived. That's where my mom grew up. That's where I spent all of my childhood, family events, family functions, all of that. But through death and marriage, my grandpa died, grandma remarried, grandma died. Then when my step grandpa died, the mobile home park and the 9 acre home and everything was taken out of our family for 25 years and sent to his kids in Canada. And not my,
Yo.
so they owned it. And so for about 25 years, then they sold the trailer park off before I got into real estate. And then this is where me and my brother still would bring our kids to go fishing because this is where we fished all the time. And so you got to drive through this mobile home park to get it. But once you drive through, it opens up and it's just this beautiful field. And so it just broke our heart to watch it just kind of fall apart. After they sold the mobile home park, they didn't have a need to come up here or down here all the time. So it just started, got a hole in the roof. And so ultimately, broke our heart watching it fall apart. And then it was vacant for about 10 of those 25 years, just completely vacant. And so while I was working with the investor, I was tagged in before and after pictures. And since I was friends with the daughters or the children in Canada on Facebook, they saw me tagged in these, and so they reached out to me. This was also part of the reason of the move, right? Of me making a move from the investor is just who I am and my morals. Is they reached out to me and said, "Hey, are you interested in buying this property back?" And so I was like, "Yes." And so I talked to my whole family and said, "Hey, if anyone's interested in buying this back, like, let's just go in on it together and not fight each other." And everyone was like, "No, we don't want it. We don't want it." Ultimately, my brother was like, "Yes, I want it." And then our wives were like, "What are you going to do with it?" And we're like, "We don't know." But it's 9 acres for $110,000. It's a 2,500 square foot ranch on a pond. Like, it's worth $110,000. We'll figure out something to do with this. And it's super emotional, right? So ultimately, we bought it. Me and my brother, we took HELOCs out on our personal home each. And we bought it with the HELOCs. Not necessarily what I always, like if you have equity, use it. but be sure that you're doing a good deal, right? If you're going to pull equity on the house you're living in to pay for an investment property,
And keep insurance on your house while you do.
yeah, like make sure it's a deal. So we did, and so we bought it together. And actually, before my grandma died, she wrote a book that she titled "Feather Beds and Haystacks," and it was just a book about, and she had it bound for the whole family. And it's a book that talks about her life growing up in the Appalachians of Kentucky all the way up until the day she died. How they survived as a community, how they grew, how they harvested, how they did everything. Like it's a whole book just on what life was like. And so we started the LLC Feather Beds and Haystacks, and that's what we bought it under. And so we have pictures of it, black and white pictures from like before the additions. And so we tell the story of what this means. And now my kids are the fourth generation of kids out, my kids and my brother's kids. And then we use we use the property all the time. It's about 8 minutes from both me and my brother. And like what it's done to mine and my brother's relationship is incredible. You know what I mean? Just like we didn't have a bad relationship at all. Like we're good brothers, but how close it's brought us together. Like I can see God bringing my brother like more into this, like business with me, and like starting to get him out of that as well. So it's just been amazing. That's where we do a ton of family gatherings now, and to see life back there again. And I have my crazy Uncle Mike up there, who's like coming around the family and who just generally just loves us. You know what I mean?
And is he actually your uncle?
Yeah, he's my mom's brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's, a lot of people would call somebody uncle somebody, but it's not actually their uncle. So
no, he's like, and really, dude, like you buy an old house like this, he's lived on this plot of land for 72 years, 70, however old he's in, he hasn't left this land, right? So when like there was no way I would have known where like, oh, back in 1972, they dug around this rock under the ground and ran the water line over here. Like, how would I know that if I didn't have this man right here telling me what they did in 72, like to get the
lifetime project manager.
Like witches rods, I never would have known how to make witches rods and find a water line and like without tools and figure out where it's at to dig it up and fix it. Like he showed me how to take welding rods, bust them up, turn them into witches rods, walk on the ground, find your water leak, dig it up. I was like, man, like, and that's the things you talk about, access to people and places that you don't learn those things unless you
I have to learn this now. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm coming out tonight to the Airbnb. So
Yeah, it was crazy.
just so
I was like,
everyone knows,
I was like, you're
I've already
crazy.
offered him a
That
bunch of
doesn't
money. He won't sell it. I already offered him a bunch. I was so
No.
jealous. I still am jealous, but I was so
The
jealous
Airbnb
of his
doesn't make any
Airbnb.
money. Doesn't make money.
Stop. Jason, we have to lie to everybody. Come on.
Yeah.
Airbnb will make you rich. Get 5 of them and you'll just travel full time with your family because they
Listen,
make
if
18 grand a month.
You can make a lot of money on Airbnb, right? And I subscribe to the fact that if you have space, water, and a hot tub, like if you have like seclusivity and like water, people will come and people will rent it, right? My thing is it's in the middle of Pataskala behind a trailer park. Like, it's affordable for families to come to and fish and hang out and do things, right? Like it's who we target. And I refied out when rates were like at 9% right now, right? So like there's one of these, it's the same thing. It doesn't make any money now, but it also has about $350,000 or $400,000 in equity in it, right? Like,
yeah, I was getting ready to say, tell them the egg you're sitting on. You and your brother.
Yeah,
now we're talking out loud here. We don't have to do like the whole dive of numbers, but in my head here, if you bought and spent, I don't even know, you're probably whatever 250 grand all in after rehab or whatever on it. Yeah. I don't even know, but you told me last time. Okay, sorry. So 210. So you told me last time that it appraised at what when you got it appraised?
518.
518. Okay.
3 years. I think I was
not
3 years
amazing
ago.
at math. Not amazing at math, everybody. But would you guys take a deal here that you refinance your house, you do a home equity line of credit on 2 houses to come up with a down payment to then rehab a property that then appraises for 518 grand that you have 210 in? Like, pretty sure everyone's doing that deal. So don't beat yourself up of, well, it doesn't make money now. Well, it is holding. It's appreciating. It is stable.
Yeah.
Sometimes some of the things that I do in land are so boring, they don't make money now. Of course they don't. I'm never going to lie to you and say it makes money now. Whatever. All right, you have 100 acres to till.
Anything that
Sure,
makes
you can
money
make
right
money.
now, like, is not real, like not sustainable, right?
Correct. So you're looking at an amazing hold, but guys, when you think about, we talk a lot, this whole buy land, build legacy theme, this whole legacy through land podcast, it's about creating, you just said it. Look at the family legacy you're creating, and you have created that you will pass on from this property. For me, Jason, it all starts with dirt. It all starts with dirt. Everything starts with dirt. It all starts with dirt. And and everybody loves to say they ain't making it anymore. Well, they're really not. They're really not. AI is amazing. I don't really think they're going to make dirt though with it. So we're at the point of, you took a chance, did hard things. Go figure, everybody listening. Go figure, trending theme on this podcast. Yeah. Do hard things. I remember the woes he had when he was rehabbing the house. I also remember the woes he's had when I had
fire.
tree.
I just caught his woods on fire this weekend. Power washing. Yeah.
How do you, anyway, I don't know how you catch a deck on fire, power washing.
Power washer fell down the stairs. Gas cap came off, caught on fire, threw it down the stairs, gas flung on the deck, whole deck caught on fire. Power washer goes into on to cool off.
I was going to say, were you able to get it out while power washing with it?
No, wasn't able to do that.
But remember, everyone, okay, because you heard it here. You remember. Somehow I'm the redneck here. It's a lie. I am not the redneck, you jerk. So we could go for hours and hours, but Jason, do you feel like, I want to end with this, let's put a bow on it. Do you feel like it's worth doing hard stuff if it starts with dirt? Do you think Luke Bryan has it right when he tells people to go buy some dirt?
Absolutely. I think there's no other thing that kind of secures your future and your family's future. I mean, just look at how many, like, I'm so envious of some of these land, not envious, you know what I mean? But like the land that's been owned by families for years around me. And it's like, man, like these people are sitting on something and they're not reaping any benefits from it other than leasing it out to a farmer right now, which I'm sure they're making fine money on it. But like they're holding off and changing the legacy for their family, like their generations, right? Like that's gonna, So it starts with the dirt.
It's a good boring egg. There's a million eggs out there. It's a good boring egg for sure. But Jason, if people want to connect with you and they just want
you don't find the dirt just scrolling on your phone. Go shake hands. Go meet people. Like, you're not going to find the dirt to buy if you're not shaking hands, right?
Kill shot. He turned it sideways. Kill shot. You have to go talk to people. It's what I do all the time. Yes, I get letters. I got one last week where the woman said, please don't contact us again. You know what? I still might. But anyway, it happens. I'm determined that they will love me one day. They just don't know it yet. So listen, if people would like to talk with you, and by the way, no one can become your friend from this podcast. I've already stated in the intro that you're one of my favorite people. He was the first person to be intentional with me when I moved to Columbus, and I'm not going to cry because he did. So I'm going to leave it in his court. But if I would allow people to connect with you just on a level that is spiritual and or real estate and or, hey, man, I'm going through some stuff that you talked about, how do they get a hold of you?
Man, easiest way is I answer my phone, right? Like I when my phone rings, I answer it. So like 614-561-3737. Feel free to call me anytime, any questions. I answer my phone, whether I know the number or not. Or Facebook. Like, I'm not a proponent of Instagram. I think Instagram does some really dirty things to our young men's brains. And so so I'm not on Instagram much. It ties into mine, but reach out to me on Facebook or just call me. And I'd love to pray with you, help you, answer questions, do whatever. Just do this life with people and just meet new people. Find out what you're good at.
Boom. All right. You've gotten a snippet of one of my favorite people here in Columbus who's doing some cool stuff with land. We're going to have to probably bring you on sometime and do a deeper dive of the journey through buying your Airbnb back. This is an amazing story. Buying the land back from family, then rehabbing the house. Then I knew trees fell on it. Then I heard your deck caught on fire. Then I heard the woods caught on fire. Then I know he's had some, treacherous guests. I know that the
Gunshots.
Airbnb, this Airbnb has an amazing garage, an amazing barn. I also was a part of helping him surprise his mother with a flower cart that he built out there. There's just been so much legacy that I know that's been created through that one purchase. So if anything, I'd like to bring you on just to really deep dive on this purchase, because I know that would be belief building for a lot of people that can resonate from that story, and really connect it on a level that it could create that legacy for them too. So that is all for this week, my friends. Welcome to the Jason Watkins Show, hosted by the Legacy Through Land podcast.
Yes,
bro,
sir.
keep killing it.
Thank
I
you.
love you. And listeners,
brother.
we see you next week on Legacy Through Land. I got to go plant food plots. Love everybody. Peace.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode. If you're finding value in this content, we'd love to hear from you. It'd mean a lot if you could share with us how this podcast is helping you on your journey and let us know of any topics you'd like us to cover in the future. Be sure to connect with us on all social platforms at Legacy Acres Land Co. and subscribe to stay updated on when new episodes drop. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Legacy Through Land podcast, and we'll see you next week.